Hi everyone, my name is Vasiliki Gkofa and welcome back to another video on our channel. So today I decided to create a video and talk to you about relationships and breakups. I decided to actually explore further one area under this topic, which is more around why we keep contacting our ex. So before we get into that, I do want to say and stress actually that what I'm going to mention today does not apply to everyone. Of course, there are individual differences, and it does not mean that what I'm going to introduce today, that this is how things should be or how people should be behaving or what we tend to consider as more correct in a way. This is more of a general idea, and I'm hoping that this video will provide some food for thought for the individuals that are actually going through the same thing. Maybe they have been through a breakup or they are going through a breakup now. So this is what I wanted to mention before we explore this topic further. Now, in this short clip, I'm going to mention what I mean by people keep contacting their ex and what that could entail. I'm also going to talk to you about why people cannot close that door, some characteristics of people that are more likely to not close that door, and of course, as a summary to end this video, how we can close that door. So let's start. Well, I would say that technology has not helped us so much in this area because now there are just so many social media platforms. There is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, platforms that I don't even know. And at some point you might actually see something, see a picture, see an update, and that draws you towards wanting to know more about how they're doing. What are they up to? And you might send a text or you might decide to go out with them and so on. What I keep hearing from individuals is that actually it's quite innocent, it's not affecting me, and I do really enjoy the company of my ex because we also ended up in very good terms. And I do agree with you. Of course, sometimes it's actually beneficial for some individuals to keep contacting their ex because really they are very good friends now. So for those individuals, this does not apply to. However, other individuals might think that this is not affecting them. However, what I would say and what I have noticed is that actually, if you have had a strong bond with that person, surely I would say if you learn that they have moved on with someone else, that will affect you in some way, even if it affects you for an hour or a day, or for other individuals for a month and so on. If you have this strong bond and you know that you used to have that and you knew that person so well and vice versa, it might create that negative feeling. Now imagine if you find out that they have moved on, and whilst they moved on, they were also talking to you. Wouldn't that maybe affect you a bit more? Again, it might not, but it might. And this is why I wanted to explore this. What I tend to hear from people is that, first of all, as I said, it's quite innocent, whereas others might say, well, I want to keep contacting my ex because if I don't, then it's like closing that door indefinitely. I will never have that option of maybe being back together with them. So let's move on now to why people cannot close that door. As I've already said, one of those reasons could be that by not closing that door, you're also not closing the door to the possibility of being with them in the long run. So that might be one of those reasons. Another one is the fact that you're ending a relationship with someone that you knew so well. They knew you, you felt comfortable with them, they felt comfortable with you, And therefore, by ending this relationship, you are losing that form of security, that form of comfort. And this comes with any end, I would say. Most of the times when there is an end to something, you might feel that negative discomfort, that negative feeling, that discomfort in the beginning. After a while, that might go away. So in the same way, when it is linked to a relationship, we might see the same thing. Another one could be that fear that what you wanted them maybe to change, they might change that with another person. So by thinking that, you have this negative reaction and you try to have that, let's say, door open so that they can step in or you can step in at any point, and therefore in a way avoiding that fearful thing to happen. So you're trying to make sure that that does not happen, or maybe if they change in the future, you have that chance to actually be together with them, just in case you made a mistake. Those are some of those reasons why you might not be able to close that door. Another one is that with any form of end, as I've already said, with any form of loss in a way, you might have to go through the process of grieving, letting go, and moving on. The same goes with a relationship. As I've already said, when you have this strong bond with someone and there is an end to the relationship, even if it lasts for an hour, there might be some pain with that sort of ending. And what you might do is that you don't want to face that pain, and therefore you might try to mask that with other things. It might be that you start saying that it's actually quite beneficial for me to keep contacting my ex. However, what you might understand if they also move on or whatever happens is that by avoiding that short-term pain, you're actually prolonging it. And you might realize at some point that you have been stuck in the past, and by bringing something from the past into your present, you're actually not paying 100% attention to what the present has to give you. So in a way, by doing that, it could be some sort of relief, some sort of pain avoidance in the short term. However, in the long run, it's actually going to cause even more anxiety, even more feelings of depression, and you will be faced with this big mountain now that you have to climb in a way. So those are some of the reasons why I would say some people might not close that door. Now let's explore those characteristics that some people might hold, and they might be making them more prone towards not closing that door. So one of those could be that the individual might be more sensitive, more emotional, and therefore they might be more preoccupied with thoughts such as, they really do need me, or how will that look like if I don't respond? They might think that I'm angry at them, and so on. I do want to say here that, of course, if they need you at some point, you should be there for them, if it is healthy for you, of course. But the difference here is that when this is happening on an ongoing basis, when this is happening daily, weekly, monthly, and you are always there for them, then this is becoming more towards you are that emotional airbag for them, and you are not putting yourself first. This is something that I always tell my clients in all areas. You should be putting yourself first. You need to be the priority, and then everything else will come, but you need to be taking care of you. So What I also want to say here is that actually, if there was good communication to begin with, then you would have felt comfortable telling them that actually what I need right now is to have that space in order to breathe, understand what has happened, and be able to move on. And of course, they in a way should respect that. Another characteristic could be that you're a person that has a lower self-esteem, a lower self-confidence. And therefore, what that relationship was giving you was that boost in your self-esteem. The person was also someone that knew you, and therefore they knew what would make you feel better. And therefore, by losing that person, you're also losing that security. Which brings me on to the next characteristics. The next one would be that you're more of a dependent person. And if you are a person that is more dependent upon others, what might happen is that you might keep texting your ex, or you might move on to the next relationship quite quickly. Now, of course, there are exceptions, because sometimes it might happen that you meet someone and you get along with them quite well very quickly. However, if you start noticing that actually I do tend to do that quite often, and once I break up with someone, then quite quickly I move on to the next person, that might be linked to the fact that you are more of a dependent person and you don't feel comfortable losing that comfort and security. What I also want to say here is that sometimes, even if the other person, your ex for instance, was not behaving in a good way, in a positive way, and was actually disrespectful, sometimes you might prefer that familiarity, that uncomfortable familiarity, rather than moving on to something else. So how can you close that door? Well, I would say there are a few things that you could do, and one of those things is to set boundaries. To set boundaries for yourself, but also for the other person. Now, I do want to say here that the boundaries also need to be present from the very beginning. So this is not something that you should be doing only when a relationship comes to an end, but it's actually quite beneficial to do that from the very beginning in any sort of relationship. By setting your boundaries, you are showing to the other person that this is what I accept and this is what I don't accept. And by actually showing that to them, it might be very beneficial for their relationship, because then the other person, if they are respecting you, they will not do that, and therefore the bond that you will have will be even stronger. What we have seen is that individuals that have not set those boundaries from the very beginning, they're actually finding it more difficult to set those boundaries when the relationship has come to an end. By, as I said, doing that, you're showing to them what you accept. And in a way, by setting those boundaries, you're going to show to the other person, but also to yourself, that what this relationship was giving you, and those privileges in a way that came with that. Let's say that you can call me at any point during the day, night, because I will be there for you, because we are in a relationship, and that's absolutely fine. Now this needs to come to an end. So this is an example of setting your boundaries and telling to the other person that, you know what, this needs to stop. This needs to come to an end. You cannot keep texting me. You cannot keep calling me. I need that distance. So this is a really important one. And I would say, if you have not already done that and you are in a relationship, I really do recommend doing that, so that you will be able to move on in a more healthy way in that relationship. Now, another way could be to cut complete contact. I would say that most of the times it might be beneficial for you to even go out once in a while to see how they are and just have that update. It could be beneficial for you. However, at points that you see that those boundaries are not being respected, or there are more of blurred boundaries here, or if you're a person that also holds some of those characteristics that we mentioned before, maybe cutting that contact completely will be beneficial for you, so that you can gain perspective and you can distance yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. By distancing yourself, you are gaining that perspective, you are grieving that relationship, you're letting go, and you're moving on. And maybe this is what you need in order to actually benefit in the future. So this might also be an option, not for everyone, but cutting complete contact with someone might actually be what you need. So now let's finish off and touch upon treatment. So some of the clients that I am seeing, they did decide to start therapy because they felt that loss and they wanted to talk to someone about that. Other times they might realize that by ending that relationship, they are actually not so confident being on their own. And therefore, what we might be working towards is building that self-esteem, that self-confidence. So that might be, and it is actually something that is quite common. So cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, might be also quite beneficial because you might be changing those maladaptive thoughts that you might be having and they're affecting your emotions. Or you're changing those thoughts that you think that you will always need to be there for them, or that it might seem like you have something against them, or that by keeping that relationship, you're thinking that I will be able to have that door open in the future in case we are back together. So those are some of the thoughts that we might be working with. We do want within therapy to stress the fact that you can be independent, because some people might feel that they cannot be on their own, that they are dependent on the other person. So within therapy, we are trying to reinforce the fact that you actually can be independent, you are strong enough, you don't need the other person to continue succeeding in different areas of your life, or you are enough, and the fact that you don't need to send that person an update or send them something that will make them laugh. You don't need to do that. You can keep all that energy for yourself, and you will see that by keeping all that positive energy that you're trying to give to the other person that is actually now belonging in the past, is going to make you feel much better if you only hold it for yourself. So I would say those are some of the things that we could touch upon treatment. Now, other things might be more linked towards the past. So going and exploring some relationships from your past, because we might realize that what you are displaying is actually a pattern. And therefore, some psychodynamic psychotherapy might be beneficial for you. This is when it comes to the treatment side of things. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. I do hope that you found today's video quite interesting and enjoyable. And if it does apply to you, what we have mentioned here today, hopefully it has given you some food for thought. Now, if you do feel that you want to explore this a bit further, you can always contact us, and one of the practitioners, I'm sure, will be happy to answer any queries that you might have. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.